Chapter 25. Calm after the storm. After a surge in violence, peace is always an illusion. Witness the eye of a hurricane. 28th of December 2033, 11:51 PM. Folded Dominion, Battle Helix. Mana signature, C53171. Physical location, Phobos. I woke to Serena's ministrations again. Sit, she ordered. You've been out for 4 days. Don't even think of getting up yet. 4. What? The words didn't really hit me. I groggily tried to rise anyway, and Serena's hand found my sternum and pushed me flat with surprising force. I said sit. I meant lie down. Her orange-white hair swayed as she leaned over me, pressing 2 fingers against my wrist and counting silently. The green cat appeared from somewhere beneath the cot and butted its head against my elbow. It was a welcoming constant in this strange place. Luna? We'll live. Serena released my wrist and reached for a clay bowl steaming with something herbal and sharp. Drink this. I drank without arguing. It tasted earthy and metallic and quite unpleasant, but warmth spread through my chest almost immediately. The infirmary smelled the same as before. Herbs, old sweat, and too many wounded people in too little space. Soft light fell from somewhere sourceless. The same noonday glow the Battle Helix maintained everywhere. Braca? Alive. Ate half the kitchen and went back to his cot. Serena's voice carried no particular admiration or joy, merely detachment. She'd witnessed too many miraculous recoveries to be affected by them. He carried 2 unconscious women down 12 floors of this place on a badly burned arm. He'll live. Yeah, I definitely owed him one for that. I turned my head. The cavern was quieter than I'd last seen it, the frantic field hospital energy replaced by the slower pace of longer-term recovery. Many cots were occupied, and healers moved steadily between them, but without panic. Someone coughed wetly 3 beds over. Someone else murmured in a dream. And yet, all of the wounds looked to be days old. Of course, with the war now won, the steady stream of casualties had stopped. My left arm rested across my stomach, wrapped in fresh silver bandages. I flexed my fingers experimentally. They responded, stiffly, but they responded. Your manner, Serena said, watching me test my hand. I have no idea what happened up there, but your body is still fighting something deep. Not wounds. More like... She paused, searching for the right comparison. Have you ever seen a building after a fire? Still standing, but all the insides are ruined in ways you can't see from outside? I hadn't asked her to explain. Serena had apparently decided I needed to hear it anyway. 4 days, I said the number again, Serena's news only slowly sinking in. 6-to-1, the time ratio. 6 hours here for each 1 outside. That's not even a full day on. I stopped myself. Serena knew nothing of Phobos, of Houston, of the aspirant waiting in the dark. It wasn't even a full day, but for a $1 trillion mission that had gone silent, it was still a long time. I'm too many things at once. I'm a warrior with the power to save people lost in these broken fragments of worlds. I'm a wife and mother to a family that will be panicking soon. I'm a scientist, an explorer, and a mission commander. And most importantly, I'm the only one other than that traitor Natalia who knows just how much the world has changed. So many responsibilities, and I can hardly think. Serena showed no curiosity about the unfinished sentence, nor about the silence while I lay in thought. Outside the infirmary entrance, footsteps quickened, followed by firm voices arguing about who was allowed to enter. Serena straightened. She breathed out sharply through her nose, and her eyes swept to the entrance. She'd dealt with this before. Stop! The voice cut through the noise without rising at all. Silence fell. A healer appeared in the archway, apologetic and tense. Behind him, I glimpsed armoured shoulders. Someone wanted in. Praefectus wants a debrief, the healer said. She's been asking every 4 hours. Then she can ask again in another 4. Serena picked up her bowl and turned back to me. Nobody enters until I approve it. Pass that along. The healer disappeared. The arguing outside continued for about 10 seconds, then stopped. I watched Serena refill a bowl from a clay jug. The green cat settled onto my legs, a warm, purring weight. Which praefectus? I asked. Serena glanced at me with an expression that suggested the question answered itself. The pink-haired one. She woke yesterday and has been insufferable ever since. The faintest softening crossed her face, not quite a smile. Which means she's recovering well. Serena didn't know or remember Luna's promotion. I considered correcting her, then realised I had more important things to do, like getting some rest. I turned onto my side and glanced at my character sheet and smiled. The bind points section had changed for the better. The melodies for the worse. Bind points 4. Bind point 1, Battle Helix. Signature C53171, bound to Miracle of Cataclysmic Criticals. Current mana reserve, negative 2,175,430, out of positive 21,600,000. Bind point 2, Twisted Expanse. Signature F7712314, bound to Miracle of Flight. Current mana reserve, 0 of 24,000. Bind point 3, Brimfall Village. Signature D27712. Current mana reserve, 0 of 720,000. Bind point 4, Eternal Library, rank C, signature C50984. Stored in Folio of Realities, occupies 1 bind point when attuned. Melodies, overdrawn mana. A ruptured folded realm is in mana debt. Until this debt is repaid, none of your folded realms can be raised above 0 mana. Any mana they would recover is instead diverted to repaying the debt. You may devour the ruptured realm to end this debt. I watched the rate the debt decreased, which allowed me to work out how fast the C rank realm recovered mana. 5 times faster than the F rank cryovolcano had, which meant I'd be in mana debt for several weeks of Helix time. The cryovolcano had moved into my Folio of Realities, no longer fueling any miracles. I'd have to test out whether that changed how the Miracle of Cataclysmic Criticals functioned. But for now, being in mana debt was tiring, so I drifted off to sleep. When I woke, I remembered something very important. I'd finished the first part of my quest, and it was time to claim a major reward. Was I rested enough? I decided that I was. I glanced again at the character sheet, and indeed, the quest, To Boldly Go Home, Part 1 of 2, was now complete. The reward was listed as contact with select individuals on Earth. I thought of my family and willed the reward to claim itself. Images flooded my mind. The first ones I didn't understand. I saw a young couple I'd never met in an unfamiliar car. The two were driving on the left side of a country road, so maybe the United Kingdom or Australia. She had red hair and was as pale as I am. He looked Vietnamese and tough as nails. Next, I saw the outside of a modern marble building at night. Could that have been a bank in Europe? The following scenes were what I'd actually expected, and hoped, to see. First, a school basketball court. My youngest son Daryl and his friend Amelia rising above him to block a 3-point shot. Then, Jenny typing away on a flex screen in the library where she worked, and her eldest son burning magnesium in the school science lab. Another unfamiliar scene followed. Was that a speedboat drug deal out on the ocean? I realised what might be happening. Could I be seeing things as they were happening? Images of my family made sense, and it's 2 PM in Fort Worth, so the timing worked. But what about the other scenes? Why was the system showing them to me? Was this knowledge a gift, or was I connected to the other people in the visions as well? I just knew so little about the system, how it worked, and what it wanted, if it wanted anything. Amelia. Basketball is easy when you're tall. Girls aren't normally as tall as me. I'm taller than everyone else in the 4th grade, even the boys. Daryl's my friend, he's got a famous mom, but I'm still the opponent and he's got the ball. It's my job to make sure he doesn't score any more points. Daryl dribbled left, then right, and I knew that move. He always did it when he was nervous. He was about to take the last shot himself. I stayed back 1 step, arms wide. A butterfly landed on the top edge of the backboard, orange and black, just sitting there, like it had come to watch. I noticed it because Daryl noticed it. He glanced up for half a second. That was enough distraction. I had a game to win. He went for the shot, and I went up with him. My hand swatted the ball sideways into the wall. The buzzer sounded before it even bounced twice. The court erupted. Priya grabbed my arm first, then Cleo piled on, Then Marcus ran over even though he wasn't supposed to because it wasn't his match. Everyone high-fived me at once. Someone pulled my braid, and I didn't even mind. "Match-winning block!" Priya shrieked. "That's our girl!" Cleo threw both arms up. The butterfly disappeared during all the excitement. I didn't see where. I peeled away from everyone and walked towards Daryl. He was standing near the three-point line, staring at the floor where the ball had rolled into the corner. His shoulders were doing that thing that they did when he wasn't paying attention, and he had his head in the clouds. I stuck my hand out. "Good game." He looked up, and his eyes were all wrong. Not sad about losing wrong. Something else. "Amelia," he said, very quietly. He shook my hand, but he wasn't himself. No flex screen videos of cute cockatiels, no cartoons, no silly laugh. He's a good player, maybe in the best 5 for our grade, but when I beat him, he's usually less shaken up. And I usually do beat him. Daryl stared off into space and fell to the ground, landing with a painful thump. "Help! Get Mr. Robertson!" I yelled to anyone who would listen. I'm loud, so that was a lot of people. I tried to remember what we'd learned in CPR. Actually doing it looked disgusting. I turned Daryl onto his side, but he was breathing. That was a relief. Mr. Jennings was the first teacher to show up, even before our basketball coach. Mr. Jennings is horrible, and his IT class is really boring, but he knew what to do better than I did. I told him Daryl had just fallen after the game, and that he was breathing. He took over at once, adjusting Daryl onto his other side, sending Priya to fetch the nurse, Cleo to call an ambulance, and me to tell the school office. I ran there faster than I ever ran on the field. The principal's office was madness. Adults were running around like they almost never did, and Mrs. Clover was holding her walking cane, but sweating as though she'd run here. Could she even run? What would make her? "Medical incident with a student, a collapse," I heard a voice. It was an unfamiliar teacher from the middle school we shared some teachers with. Had another teacher seen Daryl fall and gotten here before me? Not many adults could beat me in a race anymore. I listened more. "Dean Ward, happened in science class." Daryl's big brother? That's not a mistake, is it? It can't be. Science class. The entire elementary school had PE with us, so it had to be the middle school. I called out for attention. "Someone help! Mr. Jennings sent me! My friend collapsed at basketball!" Everything moved fast after that. Mrs. Kuma sat down with me to get all of the details, and Daryl was moved into the nurse's office. 2 students collapsing was a big deal, so we got to hear the principal set off the fire alarm and say, "Students and staff, this is not a drill. Evacuate to the field. This is not a drill. We may have a gas leak." School shut for the day, and I sat in the office with my friend. Mrs. Kumar's voice came through from the next office, where she was making important calls. "Hello? Is that Roseburton Community Library? I need to speak to Mrs. Jennifer Ward." "What do you mean she's not available? I'm the administrator of the school her children go to. There's been a medical incident. She needs to get here, right away." Daryl had 2 moms. They were both great, and it must be exciting being related to an astronaut. We'd all watched her landing on Phobos. "How can 3 people in the same family collapse in one day? Martin, when did the younger one collapse?" Mr. Jennings' voice responded. "I was on the scene in under a minute. Amelia Hart's one of the fastest runners in the elementary school. After she told me what happened, I sent her to report. Couldn't have taken more than 4 minutes from collapse to her arrival." Mary's science class lines up with that timeline. Looks like all 3 collapsed right at 2 p.m. Mother and 2 sons, all at the exact same moment. I don't know what to make of it. I shivered. Daryl would be alright, wouldn't he? Of course he'd be alright. Dreamscape. Folded void with mana signature A000. Physical location? Nowhere. Elishia. The visions of my family folded into a point, and a new world unfolded in their place. A world of black stone underfoot, and an impossibly bright sky overhead. The stone gleamed with an oily shine, catching reflected light in streaks that lit the intricate carvings in pink and purple. There was a complex pattern to the stonework, but I could not see enough to understand the bigger picture. Might it spell something out? The black stone platform continued, but not forever. It formed a large triangle, not much larger than the basketball court I'd just been looking at. I unfurled my wings and tried to climb into the sky, but couldn't rise from the ground. One quick glance at my character sheet reminded me why. The Twisted Expanse realm was still empty of mana and could not support flight. Worse, despite the mana signature starting with a promising A, the mana debt of the Battle Helix was not recovering as it had before I arrived here. That was a pity. I could only imagine an A-rank folded realm would have helped solve that problem quickly. I stared up at a sky that I could not reach. It called to mind over-the-top 2020s art inspired by Katie Bauman's legendary black hole imaging effort. Exaggerated nebulae and theatrical lighting shared the sky with an only moderately accurate image of a black hole. The colourful nebulae were bright enough to cast shadows, which particularly irked my inner astronomer. I knew that even inside a nebula, they shouldn't be as bright as a new moon on Earth, much less casting shadows. Earth. The thought reminded me why I was here. I ran towards the edge of the platform and looked down onto another triangular face, sloping away beneath me. I gingerly stepped over the edge, and the world shifted as gravity changed its direction of pull. The sky shifted with it, the false black hole moving too. I was standing on a tiny world in a void, and it was shaped like the D20s we'd used on game night. Every time I walked off the upper face, the entire world seemed to spin underneath me. The third time I spun the world, a bright green light spilled over the next horizon, and I ran over to investigate. Over on the next face was a sight I most wanted to see in the entire world.